A pleasant good evening and welcome to SAT TV's Channel 9 Evening News. I'm your presenter, Nisha Charles. Thank you for joining us. Among the major developments, first ever Quadro Festival will be part of this year's independence celebrations. Canada imposes visas on St. Lucia and St. Vincent. US confirms ambassador killed in Libya. And in sports, numerous matches played in the Courtsline National Rounders League. Details of these and other stories after the break.
Support local, support SAT Telecoms Limited, the people's choice. Join hands with SAT and come in and sign up for your digital internet connection today. The fastest broadband digital internet. Why settle for imitation when you can get a better choice? Choose from our 5 packages. We've got the warm-up package going at 256 kilobytes for $28.75. We've got the breezy package at 1.5 megabytes going at $57.50. We've got the Maverick package at 3 megabytes going at $69. We've got the Jet Stream package at 4 megabytes going at $126.50. And we've got the Warp Drive package at 6 megabytes going at $241.50. So come in today and join in hands with the family of SAT Telecoms Limited and sign up for your fastest digital broadband internet service today.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Protecting our atmosphere for generations to come is the theme for International Ozone Day 2012, a day that has been set aside through international treaty helping to protect the atmosphere. Head of the Environmental Unit, Mr. Lloyd Pascal, says the ozone layer is very important to us, but we have been contributing to a phenomenon that is destroying our environment.
That the substances that we have been using as the gases to propel and to make the refrigerator work, to make the air conditioning units work, we found out that these substances are creating a hole in the ozone layer. But what is the ozone layer? I mean, we've explained this thing a number of times.
We need the sun to have life here on Earth and make food for ourselves, but the sun also has its harmful rays, and this is what the ozone layer has protected us from for so many years.
The business of cataracts in eyes, eye diseases that is rising. The business of retardation of growth of both plants and animals, crops, is as a result of the effects of the hole in the ozone layer, that harmful substances from the sun, the rays of the sun, are penetrating onto the ground, onto the earth where we are, and therefore the world has to do something to solve that.
There is an overaccumulation of natural gases, including carbon dioxide and methane, that is creating more heat and causing global warming. Mr. Pascal says this is causing severe weather events to occur in Dominica, such as droughts and flooding.
When the rainy season came in June, we had the Mathieu Dam bursting its banks and flooding the entire Layo Valley. We lost the Layo Bridge. In September, we had a tropical storm Ophelia that washed cars into the sea, and people were in Massac watching from their window, cars going down into the sea. They never saw that in Dominica before. And the phenomena is that you hear all the weather forecasts, all the weather reports explaining to you that there's a tropical wave, there's a tropical depression, there's a hurricane, but it is moving at 24 miles an hour, moving from one place over the sea at 24 miles an hour.
We need to begin to curb our actions, such as using the refrigerator and air conditions, to reduce the effects of greenhouse gases. The second part of the launch included a panel discussion on protecting our atmosphere for generations to come. The official International Day is carded for September 16, 2012. The Dominica-Cuba Friendship Association, together with the local chapter of the Committee for the Liberation of the Cuban Five, joins hearts and voices with countless people around the world. President of the Dominica-Cuba Friendship Association, Mr. Frankie Lowe, says that Cuba continues to assist us in many practical ways, and for that he is grateful.
Today, we are actually here with the ambassador, the Cuban ambassador, Ambassador Elena Ramos, really in solidarity, as I said, with Cuba, and here to really lend a hand, lend support to Cuba in what has become a very important aspect for Cuba, which is the liberation of the Cuban Five.
According to Cuban Ambassador Ms. Elena Ramos Rodriguez, the Cuban government was forced to seek ways and means to defend their people and their country and their sovereignty.
The Cuban Five, Gerardo, René, Ramon, Fernando, and Antonio, unjustly incarcerated in the United States, are anti-terrorist fighters. They were not collecting information on national security matters. They were trying to prevent actions taken by Florida-based terrorist groups which act with impunity against Cuba. It has demonstrated that the case of the Cuban Five is essentially political.
In 1997, more than 7 terrorist bombings targeted against Cuban hotels and the Cuban tourist industry took place in Cuba, ultimately ending up in the tragic death of an Italian tourist, Fabio Del Kelmo. The ambassador says terrorism is a crime against humanity and needs to be eradicated in all forms.
We consider that in the case of René González, the only just and humane decision that the government of the United States should take is to allow René's return to his homeland. The US President Barack Obama can use his constitutional authority and release the Cuban Five and put an end to the suffering of their families. We consider that the return of René to Cuba must be allowed to complete his term of supervised freedom with his relative at home and in his account.
In an effort to upgrade the literacy level of students, 5 primary schools were selected to participate in a pilot program titled the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment (CPA), which is an addition to the Grade 6 National Assessment exams. The schools are the Massac Primary, the St. Luke's Primary, the Roosevelt Douglas Primary, the Tetmon Primary, and the Castle Bruce Primary School. A 2-day workshop for 15 teachers from grade 5 and 6 of the above-mentioned schools were engaged in discussions of the CPA. They gave their opinions of the pilot and feedback on the students' literacy performance for the program, and that was launched in January 2012. Caribbean Examination Council Pro Registrar Mr. Glenroy Cumberbatch, who is also the coordinator of the CPA, says he believes strongly that if parents make the time to involve themselves in the education of their children, they in turn will perform better.
We believe that if students themselves are engaged more in what they do in the classroom, they will perform better. And we believe that the richer the feedback and the better the feedback that teachers give to students, those students will perform better. So we are focusing on the kind of feedback they give, how they give it, the timeliness of that feedback in order to help students to improve their performance at the various levels of school.
Mr. Cumberbatch pointed out that based on how the CPA's pilot works in Dominica, there is a possibility that it may replace the grade 6 assessment exams.
Well, the advantages of the CPA is the formative assessment part of it. A large part of it focuses on helping teachers improve their teaching and students improve their learning. So we're focusing on a set of literacies that we expect each child to be able to leave primary school with. And those literacies are developed, assessed, and graded over the period of the entire year, so that by the time they write the final examination, they would have scores for those to take with them into that final examination. So despite moving them to a better level of literacy, they also get a benefit of that literacy by taking scores with them into the final part of the examination.
The CPA's coordinator says that one of the goals of the education strategy of the Organization for Eastern Caribbean States is to have a common examination across the OCS Caribbean states, which is what the CPA is intending to do. He added that the CPA is also being piloted in countries such as Grenada and Anguilla, who have already integrated the CPA in their primary school education system. However, Dominica, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, and Jamaica are currently piloting the program, while Barbados may soon join the list. Mr. Cumberbatch says so far they have been receiving positive feedback from the teachers, parents, and the principals, in addition to the students.
The students themselves, they attest to their improved literacies over the year. They spoke about their ability to read and how that reading has changed. And on average, the students that we spoke to read 6 books in that 1 year, and they did book reports on at least 2 out of those 6 books. The parents, they recognize the difference in their children in terms of their ability to speak, their ability to read, their ability to write, and the whole sense of school and what school is about and interest in school. So that has also changed. So I think generally the principals like it, and as a matter of fact, what the principals have done is ensured that the whole methodology is not only used in grade 5 and grade 6, but used throughout the school. So that is also a major, that is a kind of a testimony to the effectiveness of the methodology in helping to improve learning in the school.
He pointed out that they are trying to help students learn and perform better. The long-term goal of the CPA is to enable all students who leave school to have a number of literacies that can help them function effectively in day-to-day life, as well as make more use of their secondary school education.
Part of the issues with most countries is that those students, especially the countries with universal secondary education, is that some of the students who leave primary school do not have the requisite skills and abilities to really benefit from the secondary education. With CPA, we are trying to ensure that the level of literacies that the students leave primary school with, that those literacies are the literacies required to build the secondary school program.
Mr. Kamkobach says that if all schools focus on the CPA, the high number of students leaving primary schools attend high school without the composite skills will be reduced. Partnering for further progress and development is the theme for this year's 34th Independence celebrations. The official media launch took place on Wednesday, September 12th at the Old Mill Cultural Center. Chief Cultural Officer Mr. Raymond Lawrence says independence is a time of gratitude to all those who played a part in Dominica's continued development throughout the years. The independence celebrations will begin with a National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving to be held on Saturday, September 22nd and Sunday, September 23rd.
The 2 days are meant to accommodate the denominations which observe their Sabbath on a Saturday and those which observe theirs on a Sunday. Dominicans are asked to give special thanks to the Almighty Father on that occasion.
The celebrations will officially open with an exciting ceremony carried for Saturday, September 29th at the Old Mill Cultural Center from 5 p.m. A first ever quadrille festival will also be part of the celebrations. Acting Minister for Culture, Honorable Kelwa Daru, says we have developed a great cultural and tourism product and we should be very proud of our achievements in this regard.
This is seen in the thousands of visitors, overseas Dominicans and others who come to Dominica for these celebrations. This has generated much movement in the economy, particularly in the tourism, services, and cultural sectors. This morning, we are making a presentation of accordions to the Jinping bands. This is yet another example of partnership for progress and development.
He encourages the building of strategic partnerships to support training in the arts, to develop our cultural product, and create more economic opportunities for music, arts, and the cultural industries. Minister for Community Development, Honorable Gloria Shillingford, is pleased that despite ideologies, Dominicans have realized that responsibility for the development of the country cannot lie solely with the government.
Clearly, there has been a willingness on the part of the Dominica populace, irrespective of political leaning, to combine energies towards national development. This year's theme, Partnering for Further Progress and Development, therefore speaks to development already achieved through these synergies and further issues a call to each and every citizen to join hands to further build our beautiful country.
Due to the efforts of Lime Dominica, 3 accordions were given to 3 different Jinping groups, namely the Portsmouth Jinping Band, the Petit Seven, and Girardel Jinping Bands. Other activities for this year's independence celebrations include Dominica History Week, National Arts and Craft Exhibition, and Market Day with a Difference. And in more news, as Caribbean Wellness Day came to an end, Director of Primary Healthcare Services, Dr. Martin Christmas, says that he was extremely pleased with the amount of people who turned out to complete the advanced training course.
One of the things that makes us really proud here is that the sheer number of persons who have been able to receive training in diabetic foot management and care, and this means that across the country we are going to have a number of professionals who are now better equipped and empowered to appropriately manage the complications of the diabetic foot, make appropriate diagnosis and recommendations. So hopefully we will be able to live up to our own challenge, which has been set to reduce the number of untimely and unnecessary amputations.
Dr. Kristen van Acker says without having good communication and listening skills, we cannot move forward. Dr. Acker mentioned that they have wonderful discussions when they just listen to the points made as healthcare providers.
To this, it's wonderful that since October 2011, there was a process in making a better data collection. And indeed, we saw the results. We have to improve a lot, but we were now confirmed and really are convinced that we have to do it. Current status, that was one of her conclusions. The current system for collection, recording and reporting of data is essential paper-based, but the department is in the process of establishing a database for electronic storage and synthesis of the data. So you will have better materials to go ahead on.
In addition, she stated that as international facility, they also did some calculations in regards to the patients. Dr. Acker elaborated on this in further details.
If we can assume that you have about 71,500 inhabitants, so calculating, we don't know exactly perhaps the proportion of diabetic patients, but perhaps it must be about 20% compared to the other islands. So we have perhaps 14,300 diabetic patients. Normally, for number of ulcers, you can guess to have 4%. So 0.4% is an underestimation, but we believe that in the future you will have better data, and that's what Minister of Health needs. The persons needs information to approve care.
Minister of Health Honorable Jusman Timothy says diabetic foot care is a passion of his. Mr. Timothy also mentioned that he has set a target and he knows for a fact that it is achievable based on the feedback that he received.
I would like the incidence of diabetic amputations in Dominica to be reduced by 95%. By 95%. Neil has given me the assurance that within this year we can reduce it by 50%. And within the next year, we can achieve our target.
Mr. Timothy told the healthcare providers that they have a challenge in their hands. However, he is definite that they can live up to it and deliver. He mentioned after the first step-by-step program, they were able to bring down a podiatrist, and she was very pleased, particularly in the out districts. This has been the local segment of the news.